This is the cheese platter hour with Mousetrap. This is the first video talks that I'll be doing on a series of several talks that took a long time for me to essentially get to. This video and that I'm putting out right now is more like an introduction. We're going to talk about who I am, where I've come from, and what led me down this path, particularly down the path of the PUA, or the pickup artist, if you will, down as a known in many circles. So, who am I now? Well, I am a 31-year-old man. If it means anything, I am a Latino. I'm an American. I speak 2 languages. I'm actually very good looking. I have a very eccentric personality, and as well as just look in general. Basically, my look can be described, Blake from Workaholics meets LMFAO, meets Sideshow Bob, meets Santana. So that more or less gives you an image of who and what I am as far as the aesthetics of my being. As well, I'm just a guy who loves women. I love chasing women. I love talking to women. I love being around women. I love having sex with women, and particularly lots of sex with lots of different women and good-looking women. So, what am I doing? Well, basically, it all started when, I guess you could say, I was 24 years old. I had just gotten out of college, and I had a girlfriend at the time. Now, at the time I was 24, I'm 31 now. So, from the age of 20 to 29, I was in a open long distance relationship with a woman from Europe. I'll get into details about that in another video. So, basically, I was in an open long distance relationship, and there was love. I loved her, and she loved me. And we talked a lot, across the phone, Skype, that kind of stuff. Call back in the day. This was, I'd go to the gas station, get calling cards to give her a call, that kind of thing. When we were talking, and we were also both seeing other people casually while we were together and in love. And our whole thing was, when we were together, we were strictly together, monogamous, even if it was just for a few days or a few weeks or even a few months at a time. And then when we were apart, well, then we both had the freedom to, do what we wanted. And even though we were seeing other people, we loved each other a lot. Now, the thing is, during my early college, I was, like every young man, I was having a hard time. I was missing my girlfriend, and I just wasn't getting the amount of sex that I wanted, and I was doing well here and there, and I was pulling some girls here and some girls there, but I just wasn't getting where I wanted, and I was really frustrated. And then when I was in Europe one time, I came across The Game by Neil Strauss, or Style, if you will. And around the same time, I got into Mystery Method. Excellent book. Probably talk about that in another video as well. And I started to really get into this idea of pickup artistry, and this was around the mid-late 2000s. And then so I was trying to use this knowledge to better understand women and better understand how to, essentially game them. And I learned all these eye-opening concepts. But then something happened. Then I got into Roosh V. the infamous Roosh. Excellent books if you haven't heard them already, but you gotta check him out. So I started reading his book, Bang, Day Bang, 30 Bangs, you know, his Bang Brazil. I was just, I mean, excellent writing on his end. So after college, what I decided to do was I made a conscious effort to be better at picking up women. I was fueled by insecurity, slight immaturity, but also extreme thirst, hunger for sex. At the time, I especially felt like in order for me to be a man or be considered a man, I had to sleep with a lot of women. And I knew that I had to get good at sleeping a lot of women. So what I did from around 2012, 2012 to 2013, I started writing in a journal, basically journal entries. I would go out, I would game women, I would try to game women, I would talk to as many women as I can, and essentially I just was rejected a lot. I was basically just sort of writing down all of my experiences and learning whatever I could and making as many mistakes as I can. And let me tell you, this was very difficult. It was psychologically taxing. I built a lot of resentment towards women because of it. But ultimately, what that did, these harsh lessons, they ultimately made me a better player, a better understanding, had a better idea of women in game. And so I filled my journal with everything I was learning, and I actually wrote a book. Those journals ended up being my book, which is in the process of being published right now. So stay tuned for that. It's called Crash and Burn, a Manifesto. I think it's going to be a 3-part series. I'll give you more details on the book at some point later too. But basically, I struggled hard, really hard, for about 2 years of consistent rejection in gaming before I essentially was able to get my flow. I was able to. The thing is that when you make certain mistakes, you beat yourself up over them, but you remember that mistake. You remember what you went through, and subconsciously it got to a point where I was able to see these cues that I didn't see before. I was able to see basically the things that women would say that I knew were what is called shit tests or whatever have you. You know what I'm saying? And I got better, and all of a sudden my notch count started going up, exponentially. Now, my notch numbers went up around, really started picking up around late 2014, 2015. And around this time, things were declining with my girlfriend from Europe. So what happened was, it's funny, we didn't really have a lot of problems, and I even proposed to my girlfriend in Europe on New Year's of 2015. She said yes. But things started to unfold throughout the year, and basically she said some comments that realized that, well, in itself, I can get into that in another video, but it was beginning of the downfall. We spent some time together in another country, in South America, where my mother's from, and she was doing work for her master's. I was helping the family business, and we were together, but things were just deteriorating until the point where I broke up with her on basically New Year's Day of 2016. So she goes back to Europe in 2016. I'm back here, and I mean, not too long thereafter, for 2016, what happened is I just started going out. I hit the Tinder, I hit the dates. I was slaying. I was hooking up with chicks here, you know. I think I ended up sleeping with like about 10, 11 different women in 2016 from January to September, around that time. So this was my straight up fuckboy phase. I was just fucking and sleeping with women, and I just had a rotation, you know. I got and that kind of actually happened, uh, you know, like in waves throughout my 20s too. You know, I had these ups where, man, I was just banging 3, 4, 6 chicks in like a rotation. Like, I usually have like about 3 chicks that I would be seeing, and then like a couple of hookups here and there between, which would like push those numbers up. And then there'd be droughts, just nothing, painful droughts, And I think that's part of the player experience, is having these droughts. I mean, they're normal, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just, I don't know. But anyways, so then now, this is the thing. So late 2016, September, I met then what ended up being my girlfriend on Tinder. And I mean, this chick was absolutely beautiful. Really what I was looking for, body wise. I mean, God, ass was fucking strong. Big old 36 double D titties. We had sex the first night, which I later learned that it's not a good sign. Low quality women will have sex with you on the first night. So we'll talk more about that another time. And I fell for her. I fell for her hard, and we had a series of speed bumps, intense speed bumps, from September until about late November. Now, before our relationship became monogamous. Now, something happened earlier in 2016. In about March, I met this woman who I was very much smitten by. She was of Middle Eastern descent, but just had this punk rock look, attitude, very liberal, just open, free, tattoos. I mean, I was into her, and unfortunately, I came on a little too strong and a bit insecure with her at some point. And even though we had sex twice, she ultimately kind of let me down. Easy, telling me that she wasn't looking for anything. I'm like, all right, So that took a little bit of time to get over, but I moved on. So then when I met my girlfriend, that ended up being my girlfriend, I was skeptical because I ended up really liking her a lot. But I was worried about the same thing that happened with the previous one. So from September until December, essentially what was going on is I was sleeping with a bunch of different women at the same while I was dating her. I actually slept with 6 different women, all except for one I had already slept with. So these were just women that I just sort of had in my back pocket, if you will. Because I didn't know that this was, I thought that maybe this was going to just not pan out for very long. And, our relationship went through a lot of trials, and there were a couple instances where it just seemed like we were not going to make it. And then at the same time, I was reconciling with my ex from Europe, and she came to visit me around this time, like Thanksgiving of 2016. And in that week, I was just pretty much miserable with my ex, and I realized I did not want this anymore. And I was stalling on seeing my girlfriend. What ended up being my girlfriend, for a week. And it was killing me. I felt like it was the first time in my life where I felt incarcerated. I was stuck to what was my ex, and I just couldn't wait for her to leave, and all I wanted was to see this other chick, but I couldn't. Anyways, I got the closure that I needed from my ex. She went away, and I remember very specifically laying at night and like leading up to the departure of my ex, and I remember I said, God, I'm sorry for, and you guys might josh me, you guys might say whatever, I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not religious. I'm just spiritual. I believe that, the universe, God, whatever we call it, it's a hidden force in and all around us. That to me is God. So I remember laying, I said, God, I swear if you can help me get through this week, if you can help me get through this, I'm gonna give all that up. I'm not gonna fuck around with any other girls. I'm gonna just give it up. And yeah, she left, and I asked this girl to be my girlfriend, and she said yes. And so, but then around January was my 30th birthday, January 2017, and basically, so I had, funny thing is that I went to AVN, which is going to be another video. I went to the AVN Awards end of 2017, which I was partying with porn stars and the likes in Vegas. And I was so in love with this woman that I had opportunities to pursue and possibly sleep with porn stars. And and non-porn stars. I forgoed all that. I did not want to cheat. I did not want to break this promise to God that I made with myself and to God. And I didn't. And I went to Vegas, and I had the most amazing. I'm going to make another separate video on this. I had the most amazing time. Came back, and this was like a week before my actual birthday. Came back. I was telling my girl. I mean, it was awesome. And then I explained that I wanted to join the military, which I'm still technically trying to do. And she did not like that. And on my birthday, essentially, my girlfriend broke up with me. And I was, talk about a birthday. 30 years old, and on my birthday, my woman breaks up with me because she didn't think it was worth the investment, seeing as I'm going to go in the Army. And I've been trying to do this pretty much for almost 2 years now. But anyways, so then after we broke up, I was a mess. In fact, I'm a mess right now. I broke up with her about a week ago. And it's essentially what prompted this video. But back to the story. Basically what happened was I was in absolute misery. I was playing it cool. I wasn't blowing her phone up. I wanted so bad to call her and talk to her all the time, but I knew that I could not. I had to fight it. Which is why if you're ever in a relationship and you break up or she breaks up with you, if you just don't blow her phone up, I remember one thing she said, hey, let's just keep it cool and casual, which is how she described the breakup. And I knew I had to fight for this girl. I was so in love with her. I thought this was the one. I thought this was the, one I was going to be with. So I played it cool. And I remember I wrote her about a couple weeks went by. I think a week and a half went by. I wrote her a letter, and I was talking with one of my boys, and who's like another player like me. He was going through his own thing, and basically I just went to her house with this letter, and I tried look, please, let's just give this a chance, and I tried, and she said okay. But at first she's like, all right, well, look, we can keep hanging out, we can talk. She'd be like, oh, if you want, you can go ahead and sleep with people if you want. I might, but I might not. I don't know. I was like, so that kind of fucked me up a little bit, because I wanted her completely for myself, and I was trying to get over her. But I'm thinking, all right, what? So what happens? In this pretty much from February to March period, I slept with 3 women then. One of which was a new one. Actually, a chick at my job, I'm a bartender, and at my job, I freaking banged a fellow bartender chick in my job. We went to the liquor room downstairs, and I banged her there. And then a couple weeks after that, like late March, is when things started building up with my girl again. And it's late March 2017. And we ended up being back together, like, exclusively. She took me back. And I was like, oh, yes. And so then we're in a car one day after dinner, and then basically she asked me if I had slept with anybody. And I said, yeah. And she was super upset about it. And it was a whole crying thing, and she was upset, and I mean, we couldn't sleep that night, and I went to work all fucked up, like how I am right now. And I remember being at work, I remember saying, God, please, I swear, if you ever get me, take me back, I'm not going to do this no more. I'm not going to fuck around. I'm not, I swear. I only want her. You know? And she's texting me, and I leave work early, and I come back, and basically she does that very thing. She takes me back. So because of this promise that I made to myself, this promise that I made to her, and this year, and, you know, I remember we just got back from Europe, and earlier this year, we had this, my girlfriend went to Europe for some friends that were getting married, and I was to go with her. And I remember earlier this year, I was like, God, please help me, like, if I get in the army, which I still haven't, but I'm still trying to. I don't know if it's going to work out because I'm an old man and I got a sort of a criminal past, so I got some hurdles to get through. But anyways, I remember like January, February of this time, I'm like, God, please have it work out. Please have it work out. And I would pray, and I'd be giving myself anxiety and all this stuff, man. And, you know, our relationship was going all right, but then she found it. But then another thing is, things just started going south. I ended up being a Trump supporter, even though I wasn't at first. But I ended up switching sides. She wasn't like that. She didn't like that at all. She was a feminist, SJW type. Ugh. And our relationship almost ended because of that. But we got through it. And then there was a series of just fights over the summer that I was like, all right, we would get into a fight. I'd say, all right, let's just break up. Oh, no, I don't want to break up. I took her back. And I'm like, all right, fine. A week later, I thought we'd be fine. Another thing. Oh. And a lot, I mean, I'm going to have to elaborate another time because this is just introductory, but, and then, like, she ends up, like, making out with a dude out with all her friends and stuff, and, you know, she ends up telling me about it, and then I try to break up with her, but then, like, and I felt bad because a year, like summer of 2017, a lady friend of mine were out, and we had some drinks, and her and I ended up kissing on the lips, just, you know, a friendly kiss on the lips, but that made me feel bad. So I kind of felt like if I had dumped my girlfriend straight up for making out with a guy, supposedly, and she swears that's all that happened, to this day I don't know, even though this happened like a month and a half ago. She says that, you know, I said, all right, you know, I'll get through it, because I felt like I was being a hypocrite, and I didn't want to be a hypocrite, and I was afraid of karma, because I'm a strong believer of karma. So what I did was, I just said, all right, you know, it's just, but that ended up being the fracture. Me taking her back, I just started feeling just not right inside. And so then we go to this trip to Europe last week. Today is September 27th, and I got back from Europe on the 22nd. We went on the 17th to France and Germany. Now what happened was, I remember in the moment the Uber came to the house, you know, she was just freaking kirk out and bitch at me for, like, I'm like, oh, for being like, you know, like a couple minutes late getting some stuff. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And pretty much from the morning that I woke up to the moment I went to sleep in Europe. All I could think about was breaking up with her. And she would just snap at me and over little dumb shits, and I wanted to fight back, but I just knew it would create more of an argument, and I was like, ugh. So I just sort of bit my tongue till the last night that we were there, where she just kirked out on me, and I just blew up on her. And I just said, fuck it. And, we got through cordially that night and through the trip, and we came back, and Sunday I went to her house. I dropped some stuff off that was hers. She gave me some stuff that was mine. And I pretty much told her, I was like, look, listen, I'm really glad that I got to go to Europe with you. Thank you for having me. But it's clear that this relationship, it's run its course. And basically, that was it. 2 years. Almost 2 years of our anniversary of meeting. It's done. And it's very upsetting, and I am trying to get through it, even though I know this relationship was not meant to be. It sucks, and I guess I'm doing this to sort of, cope. It's a coping mechanism, but, to get through this. But I've been thinking about it for a while, and I feel now is the right time to do it. I want to get these kind of podcasts, talks, YouTube videos going. I want to talk about game. I want to talk about relationships. I want to talk about the things that I learned. Not only as a player, pickup artist, what have you, but also what I learned about relationships and dating, especially someone who's complete opposite of you and the such. The last month or so, I've been completely immersed in sort of MGTOW kind of PUA YouTube pundits and content, which I never knew. I never knew about MGTOW until about a month ago, and I started my also Twitter handle, which you'll probably see in the box below, about a month ago. So all of these things have been leading up to this moment. So basically, that's essentially who I am. I'm just motherfucking horny ass dude a Latino, they say, they talk about the Chads and the Tyrones. Well, here you got the Ricky Ricardos, suave ass Latino motherfuckers like me. And and I love chasing women. I love chasing pussy. I can't help it, and I've been hitting up old contacts, trying to establish new ones, and trying to get the ball back rolling again and get over this relationship. But I know right now I got to focus on myself, and I got to go inwards, and I got to be better at all the other parts of my life that I'm, trying to build for myself. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and I just want to take the moment to share who I am with all of you, introduce myself. I'm going to be coming out with videos as much as I can, and hopefully help you gentlemen out there to navigate this crazy world that we're living in, especially like in dating. I mean, it's nuts. So that's who I am. That's where I'm at. I'll be getting into more things later, but I hope that, at least you enjoy my story, and I look forward to sharing more to help all you men out there not get burned, not, increase your success rate, lower your failure rate, because I know what it's like to be in the trenches. I was there, and I detail a lot of that in my upcoming book, Crash and Burn, a Manifesto. So as soon as that's out, I'll make an announcement. So with that being said, it has been a pleasure introducing myself to all of you in the world. I look forward to hearing and talking to all of you. If there's anything that you want me to talk about, by all means, send me a message. And I look forward to sharing as much knowledge with all of you. And with that being said, this has been the Cheese Platter Hour with Mousetrap, and I look forward to talking to you all soon. Take care. Bye.
You and me are a disease, and the germs are spreading.